Right. Hi. Good evening to all the viewers, all the students, all the people who are watching this live right now. A warm welcome and good evening to today's session. I am Mr. Karandeep Singh, the CEO and founder of 𝐭𝐿𝐴 International. And it gives me immense pleasure today to connect with everyone, all the students who are with us live on Facebook or any other platform who are watching this IELTS masterclass session. Before I start the session, I want to give you guys a quick understanding and a quick overview on something that has happened in the last couple of weeks, which has materialized now. Before we get into the session, it's important to understand what is the context of doing this online masterclass. First of all, it gives me immense pleasure to announce that Integrity Immigration Group and 𝐭𝐿𝐴 International both have partnered together and collaborated to create a very new product in the market of IELTS and immigration. As we all know, that Integrity Immigration Group has been a pioneer group in the field of immigration when it comes to end-to-end solutions to do with any kind of visa, right from student visas to work visas. They have been very proactive, very progressive in terms of their approach. And that is precisely one of the reasons why 𝐭𝐿𝐴 International wanted to associate with Integrity Group. Just to give you a quick background on 𝐭𝐿𝐴 International and on myself, 𝐭𝐿𝐴 International was started as an international language school with its headquarters in the United Kingdom. And we started our first IELTS language school in India back in 2006. And we have been growing ever since. And now that we have moved our headquarters to Mohali, along with the headquarters of Integrity Immigration Group, we wanted to basically, come into the market and sort of look at how IELTS has been taught online, and also when we talk about teaching IELTS offline, which is your physical classrooms. At 𝐭𝐿𝐴 International, we take IELTS in a certain different way. There are a couple of reasons behind that. Reason number one, the team that is working in developing the IELTS training program. So I'm going to start and I'm going to give you a quick overview of my profile. I have been working as an ex-IELTS examiner for about 8 years. So what that means is that for 8 years before starting 𝐭𝐿𝐴, I was marking the Cambridge IELTS examinations, both from IDP and British Council. And I did my master's at Oxford University in United Kingdom. And after that, did my teacher training from Cambridge University. And after working in the UK for almost 8 years, I came back to India and have been working in leadership positions with various groups, right from the best of the top 10 international schools in India as a principal for IB and Cambridge boards. So when we conceptualized, when we created, when we looked at the market, after marking the IELTS papers, both academic, general, for almost 8 years, we realized that there were certain gaps, when it came to the preparation of students and how students were preparing for IELTS. And realizing those gaps, we created an IELTS training model, which would actually, fill the gap between quality band score for IELTS specifically, and look at a long-term benefit that students can get out of the IELTS examination. When I say long-term benefit, what we are actually talking about is that we don't only prepare students for the required band score that they need, but because of having a strong background from Cambridge, we also have a new, different kind of a product, which is an IELTS integrated grammar. And what I mean by this is that the grammar that you need for IELTS listening versus the grammar that you need for IELTS speaking, writing, and even reading is completely different. And to our surprise, when we were marking papers of IELTS, and then when we subsequently started interacting with students, we realized that the students were not very confident or sure about how to actually prepare for grammar when it came to IELTS. Now, interestingly, in Punjab, whenever a student is preparing for IELTS, and I'm sure all the students who are watching this would agree, 99% of the times you are only doing the IELTS paper. For example, when you're practicing listening in your centers, you're only being played the 40 questions and then you check your answers. When it comes to reading, you're only looking at the passages and then you check the answers and discuss. So you're not technically actually preparing for the exam. You're only repeating the exam pattern again and again. So we at IELTS, at Cambridge rather, realized that there was a massive gap in North when it came to, preparation of the paper. So we developed a new curriculum specifically for listening, reading, writing, and speaking, which would integrate the required grammar, which would integrate the required knowledge that you need to know how you're being marked. So I'm going to try and share my screen, and I'm going to show you something very important here. That when we look at the IELTS examination, first of all, I hope you guys can see my screen. Right. So when we look at the IELTS examination, it is very, very important for us to understand how the paper is actually structured. Right? We all understand the pattern of the paper, that yes, it's 40 minutes for listening, 1 hour for reading, and about 14 minutes for speaking, and 1 hour for writing. But to my surprise, what I've noticed about students in North especially is that when they're trained in IELTS centers, they're not actually sure about what is a band descriptor. Now, when I say a band descriptor, IELTS has given specific information on how they are marking your writing paper, how they are marking your speaking examination. And unfortunately, it has been a trend that because we keep repeating only the examination and we don't do the curriculum, we are lacking the knowledge of band descriptors. So what I mean by band descriptors is a very simple thing. We are going to look at this. IELTS has decided that when we look at writing task 1 and writing task 2. So I'm going to be talking, as I said, it's a very small session. So I'm going to be debunking a few myths that I want you guys to understand. That myth number 1, a lot of students are taught in Punjab that, when you're looking at IELTS, writing task 1 is for 3 bands and writing task 2 is for 6 bands, which is absolutely wrong. You are scored out of 0 to 9 bands for writing task 1 separately. Then you're scored for writing task 2 from 0 to 9 bands separately. And then 33% of your score we take is from task 1 and 66% of score is from task 2. So the first thing that the student should understand is that when you're preparing for the IELTS examination, you have to prepare according to what IELTS is asking you. So when I say band descriptors, 25% of your marks are given for task achievement, 25 for cohesion and coherence, 25 for lexical resources, which in simple terms means vocabulary, and 25 for your grammatical range and accuracy. Now, the problem is when students are preparing, when you guys are doing your IELTS practice, wherever you're doing, if you keep repeating the exam question, that is task 2 or task 1 over and over again, you keep making the same mistakes, right? And unfortunately, the trainers who are training you are not trained by us. I mean, we at IELTS haven't trained them. The biggest problem that we are facing in Punjab is people who have just picked up 5.5 or 6 or 6.5 band scores have become IELTS trainers. Unfortunately, when you guys are writing your mock tests, you are being marked by people who are not qualified to actually mark the mock tests. So if in your mock tests in your respective centers, you might be scoring 6, 7, even 7.5. But then what happens is when you go for the real examination, you are scoring a very low score because the person who's been giving you the practice doesn't know how to mark the paper, right? So the first thing that when we look at IELTS at Kingborn, along with Integrity, is that we look at the actual curriculum. And now what I would like to add here is that since the pandemic has happened, a lot of IELTS teaching has happened online, right? A lot of shift has happened to blended learning. But again, unfortunately, just by coming online into a session and just doing listening, reading, writing, speaking online is not going to get you the right score. For example, how you would be preparing for IELTS online, in a Zoom session is completely different from how you would be doing it in a physical classroom. Therefore, we at Kingborn have created a solution-based blended model where we have a specific application for students who come and who want to learn IELTS online, and we teach listening IELTS specifically in a different way from how we would do it physically versus how we do in a live session, right? And it applies to speaking, reading, writing. So we have come up with this, as I said, a new solution, which is a blended solution, which means that students anywhere in the country and the world who are associated with us are doing IELTS in a blended way. That means you can come to our language school physically, and at the same time, you can prepare for IELTS from home. And another thing that we have added is online teaching can only be successful if the students are also given one-to-one time of teaching. And when I say one-to-one time, that means a dedicated 1 hour where a proper analysis and discussion on the 4 modules will happen. You will have specific one-to-one time with the Cambridge certified trainers on grammar, on vocabulary. And then every week when you're writing your mock exams, you would be giving the exam online, yes, but we have a way in which after you give the exam, the whole paper would be marked and then analyzed and discussed question by question, one-to-one online. So the solution that we're trying to create in the market is that any student who is trying to prepare, for IELTS specifically, be it academic, be it general, or be it IELTS UKVI, needs to first of all understand how the paper is marked by us at IELTS, the IELTS examiners. How do we look at the paper? What are the band descriptors? How is IELTS expecting us to write the examination? Now, for example, if you just do general vocabulary, or if you just pick up 5 basic topics of grammar, that's not going to get you a good band score. For example, for writing, you need to have strong conjunctions. For speaking, you need to have strong tenses. For IELTS listening, you need to have strong prepositions. So every grammar concept is specific to the module that you're preparing for. So that means that unless and until where you're studying, if you're not being told how to prepare for IELTS with a combination of grammar, because 50% of your band score, let me tell you, according to the IELTS mark sheet, is from grammar and vocabulary. So if we're not preparing for that, if we're only regurgitating the paper, then there's going to be a big problem when we reach the examination, right? So I'm just going to check if our partner Integrity Immigration Group is also here with us, because I wanted them to also, they wanted to also connect with all the students here and talk about this partnership. So I'm going to invite the Managing Director of Integrity Immigration Group to chip in. I've been talking for a while, and I would invite you to, of course, say a few words, and then, of course, we can continue the discussion. And I would also recommend and welcome students to post any of their questions, and we'll try our best to answer your questions. So drop in your questions in the comments section. So over to you, Mr. Nisha. It's a pleasure once again to be associated with you, with your company. And I think with the kind of expertise that you bring and the kind of experience that we bring, I think we are trying to create something in the market that is much needed when we talk about quality education of IELTS and other examinations. Over to you. I think we might have a slight technical snag. Feel free to interrupt me, Mr. Nish, at any point when the connection gets stable. I'm going to try and go forward with the session. I wanted to share with everyone who's watching certain important documents about what we are trying to create. So I'm going to talk about few things. I hope you guys can see my screen. I was talking about the writing task 1 and writing task 2, right? So first of all, it is very important for any student who's writing IELTS to read the examiner's report. Please do not ignore, wherever you're studying, whichever IELTS center you're studying, if they're not giving you the IELTS full report card, which comes from the examiner, then you are not knowing where you're losing your band score. So it is imperative, wherever you write your paper from, make sure that you ask your center to give you your detailed report. And in this report, you will see there's a proper description given of what band score you scored and why, and how to improve. So what I'm trying to tell you is that with all this experience of being an examiner myself, we always encourage students to prepare according to what IELTS is asking us, not according to what we might think is the right thing to do. Because at the end of the day, the examination that you're giving is for IELTS, right? So according to their band descriptors, according to their syllabus, is how we should be preparing our examinations. And I would also like to add a point here that since we are starting with both online and offline classes with integrity, we would also be hosting, when we do offline physical classes, we would be hosting one-to-one IELTS counseling sessions, right? And the examinations, the mock tests that you would be given are going to be the same mock test that Cambridge prepares when we give the IELTS exam. So we would be giving our students the same quality mock test examination and result analysis, which IELTS is giving when you're writing your mock test with them. With that, I think the connection might be stable. Ms. Tanisha, would you like me to hand over the session to you? Right. I think there is still a technical snag. Okay. Right. So let me just go back on Facebook Live and see if any of the questions have popped in. Let me just check if you guys have dropped in any questions, because I'm using another platform to be online with you guys. So I'm just going to see if anyone has dropped questions in the comment panel so that I can answer any questions. And of course, as I said, the intake for both the IELTS online classes and the intake for the registrations for online classes and offline are open. You can always call our registered numbers to register yourself and with you guys. So I'm just going to see if anyone has dropped questions in the comment panel so that I can answer any questions. And of course, right, so it seems that the session is going on fine on Facebook. Right, so to add to certain points, as I said, just to give you a quick context as to what is happening. Point number one, which is very important, and of course historic, is that two important groups have joined forces. And what we want to give you, the students, is the best of both the worlds, right? We want to give you end-to-end solutions when it comes to quality immigration so that you go to the right college and university. And in order for you to do that, we want to give the right education of IELTS, PTE, TOEFL, SAT, all of the competitive English examinations, along with a lot of other language courses that we will be offering in the future. The important factor for you to understand here is that two very experienced and quality education partners have joined forces to create a solution-based ecosystem where the students do not have to deviate and move centers or keep jumping. We have a simple motto. 95% of our students who join IELTS with Kingborn have only written the examination once. We believe in a simple motto that you only have to write the examination once, and we make sure that we prepare you in that way. We do not believe that the student should be wasting, it's not a very cheap examination, right? So you should not be wasting money again and again, moving centers, registering again and again. You need to obviously reach the right person and the right organization which can guide you in the perfect way, so that you only give the examination once and you get the best band score. Because in our experience, we have seen that students who score really well in IELTS not only get placed in top universities and colleges, but IELTS score is going to help you in your future employment. 95% of our students who scored above 7 have landed really good jobs in the countries that they go because of the IELTS score. And Kingborn is also certified CAFR organization. So any student who's studying with us also gets a English communication CAFR certification. And that has helped a lot of our students, who are applying across native countries. So that certification will be provided to all the students who are enrolling with Integrity and Kingborn. Right. So I suppose back at Integrity, I think I can hear you guys. Would you like to add any points if you guys are there?
Is my voice now audible?
It is audible, yes.
Okay, finally.
Yeah.
Okay, so finally, we are glad to announce that Integrity Immigration Group is collaborating with King Pond International. So, as Sir has already announced, that we are just joining hands together to bring all the services just under one roof. So, like as registrations have started for our online classes and for physical classes. And apart from that, I would like to just say a few words on the immigration services which we are providing. We are situated in Mohali, Sector 82, Punjab. And as we said, we are into the immigration services, study visa services. And right now, we are just started up taking admissions for the latest intakes, that is May, June, July, and we are dealing with the Canadian study visa services. We have like all our channel partnership, government as well as private institutions located in Canada. And apart from Canada, we are also working with Australian institutions, UK institutions, and Schengen countries as well. So, like the students who are interested to get their assessments totally free of cost, so our team thoroughly works on each and every profile regarding the assessment, admission eligibility, and we do provide all programs relevant to the, because relevancy is very important when we comes to the admission process. So these things are generally lacking in the which I do feel if I talk about the immigration consultancies, because irrelevant program assessment makes the file sometimes refusal. So consequently, what happens when we just pick up the program which is extremely non-relevant by the like previous academics, so it as a consequence it just leads to the refusal of the file. So like to stop all these things, small, like when it comes to the success ratio of visa, so we need to work out on the all sort of things, that is program relevancy and of course the IELTS score. So because students I guess find very difficult to crack that SGS profile, even though it's very easy. So I would like to just hand over to Sir regarding the admission process of this IELTS coaching, which we are just coming start up on 15th of this month. Let's say, are you?
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Mushi. So, as you rightly said, in order the kind of, as I said, the kind of expertise and in-depth knowledge that Integrity has are how to get the best possible solution for immigration. So I'm going to add to her point that there are a couple of USPs, unique points that set this partnership apart from what's happening generally when we talk about immigration and IELTS. Point number one that all of you need to understand is that you will be trained directly by trainers who were ex-Cambridge IELTS examiners. So this is a very important point for you to understand, because people who have actually been marking the paper for many years will now be working directly with you to make sure that you understand how to write the paper. Point number two, you will be given one-to-one sessions. Apart from group sessions, you will be having one-to-one sessions every day, right? Whether you're online or you're coming to us physically. Point number three, you will be given IELTS integrated grammar lessons, which will be very specific to what your band score for listening, reading, writing, and speaking requires, right? Point number four, because we have a blended EdTech platform, you will be receiving assessments and assignments on a daily basis, even when you're at home, right? And you will be sitting for IELTS mock exam series almost every second week, so that you understand how the pattern of the actual test feels like. So we will be setting up the same mock series for you guys, where you will be coming in and writing the examination. I would like to also add that most of the trainers who are with Kingborn are all situated in international locations, right from UK to certain locations in Europe, and they will be coming live along with me and the other set of trainers to hold your classes, right? So, as Tanisha Madam has already announced that we are already open the registrations, I would recommend that if you're genuinely looking for the right way to understand, prepare, and score in IELTS, then Integrity and Kingborn is the right place for you. And of course, the right IELTS score will then be channeled by integrating into the best college and university. So with
I
this,
can able to Sorry to interrupt. I can able to see some questions are. I think they're in inbox. Can you see that?
You just yeah. So the thing is, because I'm on this platform on StreamYard, and since I've been added, I can't see any questions. If you think there is any question,
Yeah,
please.
yeah. All right, all right. So, like one of his student named Amit Gupta has asked, "Hi sir, I have my exam on 20th of this month, and I find listening and reading little difficult. Does skimming and scanning works? And can you please share some quick tips for listening and reading?"
Absolutely. So let's start with listening first of all. First of all, scientifically, when we look at listening, listening is a receptive skill. What does it mean? That you're receiving information through your ears and you're decoding information. Number one tip for listening is there is, first of all, no wrong answer. But the biggest problem that students actually face in listening is understanding the instructions of the questions. In fact, it's good that this question came. Mr. Nisha, is my screen visible to you guys?
Yeah, it's visible, sir.
Right. So I'm just going to share some very interesting factors when we talk about listening. There are certain kinds of tips and tricks that we have created. And these small things actually make or break your score. Point number one. A lot of students ask me that, sir, should we write the answer in the answer sheet in all caps or should we write it in lowercase? This might seem like a very small problem, but trust me, you can lose your whole band score if you don't know how to write uppercase. For example, if the answer was Mr. Brown, but you wrote M with a small lowercase and you wrote Miss B with a small lowercase, because it's a noun, it's supposed to be in caps. That means B should be capital. Even though your answer is right, you heard the answer was Mr. Brown, but in the answer sheet you wrote M and B small, you will be marked completely wrong. You will get a 0. So point number one, students need to understand in listening, when you're transferring your answers to the answer sheet, you need to make sure either you write all the answers in capitals. That means you use caps for all your answers. Otherwise, you need to make sure that you know the difference between uppercase and lowercase, right? Just a second. I think I lost my screen visibility. Just bear with me. Right. Point number two. This is a very important point for anyone who is wanting to score well in listening. You need 50% of your listening score is not actually coming from the listening. It is coming from the instructions. So if you don't understand the instruction properly, you might end up marking the answer wrong. Based on our experience, 65% of students who struggle in MCQs, it's not because they don't hear the answer correct. It's because they write the wrong answer in the MCQ section. I'm going to share one example with you. If the question instruction says write no more than 2 words and slash or a number, right? So in this case, you can see there are 4 answers written here. You can see A, B, C, D. So Ms. Tanisha, just help me. I'm going to ask everyone who's listening, if they can tell me, if they can look at question number 9, and in the comment section, if they can write which is the answer out of these 4, because I can't see that screen. So so anyone who's listening, who's watching this, the instruction says write no more than 2 words and or a number. I want you to use the comment section in the live video and tell me out of A, B, C, and D, are all possibilities correct or is there any wrong answer? I'm going to give you, let's say, 35 seconds of time to decide. And you can write your answer in the comment section. And Mr. Nisha, if you get any answers, just let me know. Since I have the screen in front, I can't see.
Sure. Okay, sure.
Right. I'm going to repeat what we have to do. You have to read the instruction. There are 4 MCQs given. You have to tell me if all 4 possibilities are correct or if any of them is wrong. You have another 10 seconds to do this.
One answer has came, and yeah, it's by Amit Gupta, and he says all can be right.
Very good. What's the name again? Sorry, what was the name?
Amit Gupta.
Amit Gupta. Amit, you're absolutely right. Well done. When the instruction says write no more than 2 words and on a number, so that means that the answer could be 1 word, it could be 2 words, it could be a combination of a number and 2 words, because the instruction says and. Now, if in a situation I remove and the instruction now reads, write no more than 2 words or a number. Now, in that case, what's going to happen is that you cannot write 60 local craftsmen. That would be wrong. So this is just a small example to show you. Now, just to give you an idea, the question that came to me, when you're doing listening, make sure, especially in MCQs, you do not leave the answer in the question paper blank and then wait in the last 10 minutes and go to it. Whatever possible answer that you think in that point is there, you write a quick summary next to the question. Then in the last 10 minutes, after transferring the rest of the answers, come back to the question. Okay. And of course, there's a specific cancellation theory that we have developed at Kingborn to work on MCQs for listening and even reading. But again, I cannot divulge all the information in this session. That will definitely be shared with any student who is joining us online or offline. We have a specific theory that we've developed called the cancellation theory for listening, which is specifically developed for students who struggle with listening MCQs. And another point that I told you before in the starting of the session, that without grammar, you cannot do listening. Suppose the answer was hospital and you heard it and you had to complete a sentence. And the sentence was, the best place to meet is, and you just wrote hospital. It's wrong because you did not write the preposition at the hospital. So IELTS, when it is doing even listening, is still looking for grammar. So what I'm trying to say is you cannot escape grammatical concepts if you genuinely want to score an 8.5 or even a 9 score. When students who listen to us and go by our logic, we have seen that more than 60% of cases in listening especially score anywhere between 7.5 to 9 bands. Because listening and reading are 2 areas where by default you can get a 9 band score if you do it correct. And Tanisha, what was the second area that the student was struggling in apart from listening?
Just a moment. Reading, he was asking.
Okay. So for reading, again, I have certain tips and points that I would like to talk about, but I think the session might run out. I'm going to talk about certain few things. When you're doing academic reading, please do not wait for the last moment to transfer your answers. A lot of students have a bad habit that they would have the answers written on the question paper, but you do not get 10 minutes like you get in listening to transfer your answers. So what is the best practice? Finish passage number 1, transfer the answers. Whatever you missed, mark it so that you come back to it. Then move to passage 2. Do not wait in the last minutes to transfer the answers. What will happen if you do that? Because you will have less time and you will be overwhelmed, you will end up writing sometimes wrong spellings, which means 0 score. You will end up writing wrong sequence of answers, which will mean 0 score again. Another important point that we're talking about reading is this, which a lot of students make a mistake. If the instruction in reading says write words or letters, for example, in the MCQ, the answer is spring, but the instruction says you had to write either A, B, or C. And you ended up writing spring. It's a very silly mistake, but it gets you a 0 score, right? So as I said, for both listening and for reading, instructions are absolutely imperative, right? And at the same time, you have to make sure that you are managing time. Time management is 60% of reading's work, right? So I hope I answered some of your questions. As I said, we cannot divulge all the information in one session. We would welcome you guys to come and meet us at our head office to know more about how we work with IELTS. And I would again like to add, it's been a pleasure, being online, being live. We are looking forward to further sessions, further interactive sessions like these. And I hope to meet you.
We would like to remind again that our online registrations have started. So students can definitely start up their online registrations for the classes, for physical classes as well as online. And some of the students are asking a fees structure. So for that, they need to call us so that, yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Ms. Tanisha. For the fee structure students, of course, there are a lot of incentives and, packages that we've designed in a certain way so that you can make the best out of this opportunity. But yes, for that, please do call our team and we'll try to give you the best possible solution. So I hope to see a lot of you in my sessions. I hope to make this change that we've been doing in India for the last so many years. I want maximum students to benefit out of both our experiences of companies. Hope to see all of you, in the future being our students. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening from my end and looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.